Hey trainers, Sipes1946 here with another deck review. This is another Feraligatr Prime deck, but it is a different variant from the Feraligatr Lantern Prime deck that I've showcased in a previous video. You are all familiar with Feraligatr Prime if you've seen my other video, and we use Feraligatr Prime because of its Rain Dance ability. You're able to, as often as you like during your turn, but before you attack, attach water energy cards from your hand to one of your Pokemon. So we're able to Rain Dance or deluge multiple energies per turn onto our Pokemon. And we play a 3-2-2 Feraligatr line. 3 Totodile, which is the basic, 2 Croconaw, which is the stage 1, and then ultimately 2 Feraligatr Prime. Now if we need to bump this up to a 3-2-3 line, we'll do that. In our playtesting, we've been able to get at least one Feraligatr Prime up and active, and so it's worked out quite nicely. We do play 4 Rare Candy to help us with that evolution, with that evolutionary line. Now, our attackers in this deck, as opposed to Lantern Prime in the previous variation that I introduced, are going to be Golduck, which we're going to play a 2-2 line of. So 2 Psyduck, which has a great attack, Dazzle Dance. If you win a coin toss, the defending Pokemon is confused, which can slow them down while you set up and evolve. And 2 Golduck. Golduck's the stage 1 with 90 hit points. It has a Pokebody ability, Natural Remedy. Whenever you attach a water energy card from your hand to Golduck, you remove 2 damage counters or 20 damage. So, as you power up the attack, you are also eliminating damage that this Pokemon has taken. And you can see for a water and a colorless, you can do the powerful splash attack for 30 plus. 30 plus damage, 30 damage plus 10 more for each water attached to all of your Pokemon. So this is similar in scalability to Lantern Prime's attack. So even those energies attached to your bench Pokemon make the powerful splash attack more powerful. And you can see that the retreat cost is relatively low. The other attacker is Samurott. Now, Samurott comes from the legendary Treasures Pokemon set. Therefore, this is not an HGSS2 Call of Legends subset unlimited deck. I suppose we'll just call this a straight unlimited deck. Samurott is a stage 2 Pokemon with 140 hit points with the Shell Armor ability. Any damage done to this Pokemon by attacks is reduced by 20, so that's great. It's got built-in defense. You can see Hydro Pump does 70 damage for 3 colorless, and it does 10 more damage for each water energy attached to the Pokemon. So it also has a scalable damage output. And we run a 4-2-3 line. 4 of the basic Oshawott, 2 of the stage 1 Dewott, and then 3 of our stage 2 Samurott. So we have 3 Samurott to attack, 2 Golduck to attack to give us 5 attacking Pokemon, all fueled by Feraligatr Prime. And we will play 1 card draw tech in this deck. We're going to play 2 copies of Delibird. It's a 70 hit point basic with a 1 water attack called Snowy Present, which allows us to draw a card for each water energy attached to all of your Pokemon. So as you can imagine, if you're able to Rain Dance multiple energies onto your Pokemon, you can Delibird for a large number of cards, which keeps us going, keeps cards in our hand, and works out quite nice. And that's a 22 Pokemon line. The trainers you're going to be familiar with if you've seen any of the unlimited decks that I presented, particularly the HGSS to Call of Legends subsets. 1 Junk Arm allows us to discard 2 cards from our hand while we play this to get our discard pile, to get a trainer card from our discard pile. So effectively, this gives us an additional copy of each trainer card that we can use situationally. We're going to play 1 Pokemon Circulator to force our opponent to switch active and bench. We're going to play 4 copies of the Rare Candy. Again, that's to help us with our Samurott evolutionary line and to help us with our Feraligatr Prime evolutionary line. We're going to play 1 Super Scoop Up, as I mentioned before. Super Scoop Up is great for stopping our opponent from getting a knockout, possibly getting the active Pokemon out of the active position when we can't switch or retreat, and then also preserving possibly any energy cards attached to those if we're about to lose one of our Pokemon attackers that have had a number of energies Rain Danced onto them. So we can keep all those cards back in our hand, stop a knockout, and then Rain Dance those energy cards right back into play. we're going to play 2 Fishermen. Fisherman allows us to get 4 basic energy cards from the discard pile and put those back into our hand. That's a great way of recycling any energy that go to discard from knockout so that we can rain dance those right back into play to draw cards with Delibird or, of course, do damage with Samurott or Golduck. We're going to play 2 copies of Interviewer's Questions. A great way to get lots of energy out of our deck so we can rain dance them onto our Pokemon. We're going to look at the top 8 cards, and we can take any energy found in those top 8 cards and put those in our hand. There have been times when I have found as many as 6 energy from a single Interviewer's Questions, and then I was able to rain dance all 6 of those into play and convert them into damage. We're going to play 2 copies of Pokemon Collector. Again, each collector grabs 3 basic Pokemon, so it helps us with our setup, it helps us get our evolutionary chains going, and it's a great way to get Pokemon on the bench. 3, Professor Elm's Training Method. It allows us to get an evolution card from our deck and put it in our hand. So if we need a Dewott or a Samurott, or if we need a Golduck, or if we need a Croconaw or a Feraligatr Prime, all of those Pokemons are targets with Professor Elm's Training Method. We're going to play for 3 Professor Oak's New Theory. Allows us to get 6 new hands while not putting any cards in the discard. We're going to play 2 copies of Twins. If we find ourselves behind in price cards because of the setup required, then Twins lets us get any 2 cards out of our deck. Quite powerful, especially on a setup deck where you might find yourself behind 1 or 2 price cards while you get your energy acceleration up and you get your primary attackers in place. So Twins can help equalize if you find yourself falling behind. We're going to play 2 copies of the Burn Tower Stadium, which allows each player to coin flip, and if you win the flip, you can take a basic energy card from discard and put it in your hand. So that allows us to recycle energy with a coin flip from our discard into our hand, of course then placing those onto our Pokemon and converting those into damage. And we're going to play 15 water energy in this deck. And when you get all 15 water energy on your active and bench Pokemon, you're able to do a lot of damage with Golduck, you're able to do a lot of damage with Samurott, and you're able to knock out opponents' Pokemons and take the wins. This is a fun deck to play. It's a different variation. We're not playing the yellow Pokemon. We're not playing the Lantern Prime. We're not playing the Magnezone Prime for card draw. Instead, we're using Samurott and Golduck as our attackers, and we're using Delibird for card draw as opposed to Magnezone Prime. So it's a smoother setup, single color. It's a mono water deck. It's a lot of fun to play, as is the other. Feraligatr Prime is always fun to get in play. Rain Dance is great. If you know me and my decks, you know I love Deluge. My Blastoise deck, my Unlimited Blastoise deck is probably my favorite deck that I've made out of all the 30 or 40 decks that I've built. And Feraligatr Prime is a Pokemon of the same strain. I look forward to showing you this deck in an upcoming battle. All right, let's take Feraligatr Prime, HGSS to Call of Legends Unlimited subset into the ranked queue. We are probably going to play an outmatched deck, seeing as the new cards are significantly power creeped over the old, but that's okay. Sometimes these matches turn out well and they're interesting whether I win or not. I don't normally wait this long in the queue. Usually we find an opponent right away. Here we go. I really don't know what we're going to get. That's okay. Ah, some kind of a dragon deck. Let's call heads. Go first. And let's see what happens. Hopefully we get set up quickly. All right, we'll put a Delibird inactive, which means we'll be able to attach an energy and at least draw a few cards with it. The rest of our cards in our hand aren't really that good. Let's see what Draco Sire is playing. Draco, meaning dragon. So Draco Sire is playing a dragon deck. Imagine all of that. So let's put an energy on our Delibird. There's no sense in interviewers questioning for energies. So we're pretty much done. This is not a good setup. Rayquaza EX is not bad. He's going to put an energy on that. And he's going to be able to Celestial Roar to possibly attach energy from his deck onto his Rayquaza. I do like Rayquaza EX. I do have a dragon deck that I'll be showcasing here eventually on YouTube. Uses Rayquaza EX as the primary attacker. Puts a Pichu on the bench. Sky Arrow Bridge to reduce the retreat cost. So he's going to use Pichu to stall against me, but that's actually quite unnecessary. Alright, so, but the playground ability is going to let me find as many Pokemon as I like and put them on the bench. Which means I'm going to get all of my setup done. So we're going to take a Totodile, an Oshawott, a Psyduck, another Totodile, and another Oshawott. So we're going to fill our bench up. He also filled his bench up. So he's going to use Tinoa. Okay, so he's going to play Electrike. So it's a Rayquaza Electrike deck. So he's going to evolve Tynamo into Electrike, and that's going to allow him to fetch energies from his discard, I believe, and put them onto a Pokemon. So we're going to be able to do some evolving here. We can use Professor Elm's training methods and also capture another evolution. I think we're going to have to go ahead and get a Croconaw because we got to get Feraligatr Prime set up. We're going to attach an energy onto Duat since that's going to be one of our attackers. We're going to go ahead and Snowy Present. We will get 2 cards. His Pichu stays asleep. That's good. So unless he can switch or something, he's not going to be able to move it out of the active position, which means he's going to have to stall. He does have 2 Electrics now. Electrics. Let's call them electric. There's no E to make the I long, so it's electric. He's got 2 Electrics in play. So he can Dynamotor twice. He's got plenty of energy in his discard Dynamotor. Now he can Dynamotor 3 times, so he's going to be able to ramp up his Rayquaza EX rather fast. So he's going to get Pichu out of the active position as soon as he can, I'm sure. He's also going to be able to ramp up his Raikou EX, which he's just done. Pichu stays asleep. We now have an active Golduck. We have plenty of energy, but not really anything to do with it. We're going to have to go ahead and put a second energy. Well, we're going to put an energy on Golduck, and we're going to go ahead and Snowy Present for 3 cards. 3 cards? 1, 2, for 3 cards. Okay, so we do, and he stays asleep. That's good for us. So unless he has a switch or some other way of getting his Pichu out of the active spot, he's not going to be able to put one of his powered attackers like Raikou EX or a Rayquaza EX into the active position and start taking knockouts. Obviously, once he gets one of those attackers in the active, we're going to go down quickly, just being an HGSS to call a Legends deck subset of Unlimited. But we are going to be able to get a Feraligatr set up unless he ends or something. I didn't notice if he played a supporter already. We're going to be able to get, and his Pichu stays asleep, so that's actually good. He's stalling himself more than he's stalling us now. So we have an active Feraligatr Prime. We can't do any damage to the Pichu because it's got Sweet Sleeping Face Pokebody ability. So it's not going to do any good to put one of our attackers in the active position. Collector's only going to get basics. So let's go ahead and get rid of our energy, and then we're going to Professor Oak's new theory. Let's go ahead and Rain Dance another energy onto Golduck. So it's got two energy on it, so its attack is active. We still don't have Samurott in play. But let's go ahead and Rain Dance energy onto Duat. We're going to Rain Dance one more energy onto Duat. We're going to Professor Oak's new theory. We don't need any basic Pokemon. Actually, yeah, if we use Interviewer, no, we need to get evolutions. We need to get a Samurott in play. All right, and we're able to. We're actually able to get a Samurott in play. And we're going to Rain Dance onto Samurott. We're going to Snowy Present for a bunch of cards. And his Pichu wakes up, which means he's going to rotate out of the active now, and he's going to start taking some prizes. But we'll be able to go on the offensive as well. And we'll be able to use twins because he's going to take a lead. Okay, he's going to Lysander, Feraligatr up. He's going to be able to discard 3 energy and do 180 damage to Feraligatr Prime. We will... Go ahead and put Golduck in the active position. We can twins. We're going to rare candy another Feraligatr Prime into play so we can rain dance. We don't have any energy in our hand at the moment. However, we can twins. We can twins for 2 energy. We could. Put a burn tower in play, a fisherman. Let's get a fisherman. And a Samurott. I don't know. I mean, we're really outmatched here, so let's just see what we can do. We'll put the Samurott. So we now have a powered up Samurott. I'm going to lay down another Oshawott, I guess. And let's go ahead and powerful splash for 100. That's not bad for a HGSS to call. So he's going to heal the damage off of his Rayquaza EX with a max potion. He's got an active Raikou EX with 3 energy, so he can do Volt Bolt. He can do 100 damage to any one Pokemon. So he could knock out the active Golduck. He could knock out the Delibird. He could knock out the Oshawott. The other targets on the bench are safe from a one-hit KO. And we're going to go ahead and put Samurott into the active position. He's taken 2 prizes. Now let's see what we can do. We'll put a Dewott on our Oshawott. We can Fisherman 2 energy out of the 4 that we could take with that card. Go ahead and put another. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and Fisherman. We'll take these 2 energies. And we're going to go ahead and rain dance them onto our Samurott. Even though our Samurott's in danger of being knocked out, we're going to go ahead and do it. Put another Oshawott on the bench. And we're going to go ahead and Hydro Pump for 120. Again, it's not a bad attack for an older card like this. It's a good setup for a Samurott. But against our Rayquaza EX that can discard 3 yellows and do 180, you know, we're outmatched. It's okay, though. I'm fine with that. It's taking him a while. He hasn't beaten us yet. Continues to heal off his damage. I don't know, there's not much point in him siring a bunch of Dracos if he doesn't let any of his Dracos die, right? I mean, I don't see what the point is of that. I don't know that I would play all the max potions in the deck. Let's go ahead and put... Let's go ahead and put Samurott in the active position, assuming we're going to get energy attached to that. We can get 4 energy with Fisherman. Let's go ahead and do that. And let's rain dance them all onto Samurott. because we're just going to go big. We're going to do as much damage as we can. And we're going to Hydro Pump for 120. It's a good attack, another good attack. We're not able to knock these guys out with 170 hit points, and he keeps healing them. But we'll see when we're done that we did quite a bit of damage. So he switches to Rayquaza EX, who's ready to do Volt Bolt, and could knock out any one of these targets on the bench. Oshawott, Delibird, or Dewott. Still has 3 prize cards to go. And with no EXs in my deck, he's going to have to kill 6 Pokemon. Or KO 6 Pokemon. I'm not sure any of these ever die. They just get knocked out. He's got 3 energy onto his Rayquaza EX again, so it's ready for battle. I do not have another attacker prepped. But he leaves this in place, knowing that I can't kill it. We're going to Rain Dance onto the Samurott, and we're going to interview his questions, and we're going to take 4 energy, and we are going to Rain Dance every single one of these energies onto the active Samurott. We're going to Rain Dance every one of these energies onto the active Samurott. We're going to go ahead and bench the Delibird because we still have an open slot, and we are going to Hydro Pump for 170, and we are going to knock out an EX. It is now 2-4. We have come back. Now he's going to discard 3 yellows, though, 3 lightning. And he's going to knock out our Samurott, which is fine. I mean, you know, we're doing what we can. We took 2 prizes. We took 2 prizes. We're okay with that. So he's going to switch to a new Rayquaza EX. He's going to discard 3 energy from the Rayquaza EX. He's going to do 180 damage to the active Samurott. He's going to put all of our energy, and he's going to max potion again. He's going to put all 10 of those energy in the discard. We're going to have to just, you know what, we're going to have to just go in with Feraligatr Prime. We're okay with that. We're going to go in with Feraligatr Prime. We're going to attach. We're going to Professor Oak's new theory. We're going to put in Burn Tower. We're going to see if we can't get an energy out of the discard. We failed the coin flip, so we did not. We're going to go ahead and put a Psyduck in play. And just because, well, yeah, he's going to Electrike. He's going to Electric. He's going to Dynamotor 3 times. So any of his attackers are going to be active. Any of his attackers are going to be active. Let's be sportsmanlike. Let's go ahead and do Super Scoop Up. Maybe we, nope, I was going to say we could save our Feraligatr Prime. Here he goes. He's going to take the KO. He's going to Dynamotor 3 times. He's going to put 3 energy on Rayquaza EX. He's going to discard those 3 energy when he attacks. He's going to be able to do 180 damage to the Feraligatr. He's going to be able to retreat this for an energy, which he has in place. So he just needs 1 more yellow energy onto his Rayquaza EX that's benched, and he'll be able to discard all 3 for 180 and take the win. That's fine. We're going to look at our damage output. We're going to look at our damage output here and see how it went. So that's not too bad. I mean, he didn't double our damage output. You know, he didn't quite double it. He had to have done 1,020 damage to double our output. His biggest attack was only 30 more than ours, and our newest cards are from Call of Legends, from HGSS to Call of Legends. We drew 44 cards. We didn't draw as many cards as he did, but he did a lot of. I think he had like 4 Professor Letter. There's 8 cards right there. There's 8 energy, so that puts him in the 50s over us already. Anyway, so I enjoyed it. It was a good game. We were outmatched, but I had a good time. And I will definitely be showcasing this deck against another HGSS to Call of Legends Unlimited subset. It just didn't work out for today. So I was Sipes 1946. I hope you enjoy the decks. Hope you enjoy the battles. And I look forward to seeing you in game.